The steady climb in gas prices front and center in the GOP presidential candidate's final Super Tuesday push tomorrow.
And Senator John Barrasso, Republican of Wyoming and member of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, writes in today's Washington Times that, quote, soaring fuel prices are exactly what you expect when Washington overregulates, restricts access, and tries to control the marketplace. And the senator joins us now. Thank you for being here.
Liz, great to be with you.
Well, then, by that assessment, would that have been the same situation when oil skyrocketed in 2008 under President Bush to much higher than what we see right now, $137 a barrel? Was that from overregulation?
Well, what we're seeing is a marketplace in action and opportunities to bring more oil into the United States from closer to home, and the president has been saying no to the Keystone XL pipeline. What did Chuck Schumer from New York say? He said, we'll ask Saudi Arabia to send more, produce more. But with what you talked about earlier in this hour, world tensions, the Straits of Hormuz with Iran, it doesn't help us to have more oil out of Saudi Arabia. We need to be more energy self-sufficient at home, which to me means exploration more offshore, on federal lands, and in Alaska.
Well, there has been some talk. The president's been talking about releasing some more oil from the petroleum reserve that we have, and that's been tried before. He released about 30 million barrels last June. How did that work out?
Well, initially there was a little decline in price. Ultimately, the price went up higher. To me, it's a gimmick. The president should not do that. The strategic oil reserve is for an emergency, not for a political disaster, which is what we're dealing with this president and his opposition to so many forms of energy. You know, he said he wanted green energy, renewable, to be the cheapest form of energy. Well, he wants to do that not by lowering the cost of renewable energy, but by increasing the cost of the other sources of energy, from coal, oil, gas, uranium, nuclear power.
You don't really think he wants prices to go up, do you?
Well, I know that he said his sorry is that unfortunately, he said it's going up gradually.
I mean, he wants to win a re-election, and if prices are going up, it makes it more difficult for him to win re-election, right?
But even last week, the Secretary of Energy wouldn't go back on that statement. And the Secretary of Energy said he thought that the thing we should do is have gas prices equal to those in Europe. You have the Secretary of Interior, who, when he was in the Senate and we were discussing deep sea exploration, he said even at $10 a gallon of gasoline, he objected to deep sea exploration. You have a state like Virginia where both the governor, who's a Republican, and the senators, who are both Democrats, say, yes, this is a great place for energy exploration, and yet the president says no.
Well, let's talk about your op-ed. In it, you say that the Obama administration already has, quote, stopped issuing permits to explore for energy in the Gulf of Mexico. But, Senator, 61 deepwater permits have been issued in the past year once the BP seizure had finally released up and relaxed a little bit. So you've got 61 deepwater permits. And even we talked to a company that is not happy with the administration, Hercules Offshore Drilling, and they've been receiving permits. They're shallow water drillers, but nonetheless, is that really a fair assessment, or is it simply politics that you would say something like that when there are permits that are being released?
For offshore, there are no permits in the Atlantic, no permits in the Pacific, and what we're seeing is the significant amount of offshore is done by Mexico, by Cuba, by Canada. You see it off the coast of Maine, by Russia, off the coast of Alaska, and you mentioned China in the last report. You know, China is going to buy Canadian oil because the president says, no, we don't want it, with the Keystone XL pipeline. And you saw the Prime Minister of Canada in China to sell North American oil overseas. That is hurting our ability to get down the
You know, I'm not sure I disagree with you on the slowing down of permits being released. On the other hand, when you look at permits for offshore off the coast of Florida, for example, Governor Jeb Bush was against issuing those permits, and of course he's a Republican.
Well, but what you see is when you have bipartisan approval, as you have in Virginia, as you have in Alaska, with, again, a Republican and a Democrat senator from that state, both supporting it, still the president is standing in the way.
But, Senator, what are the chances that anything that we did here in the U.S. really has a meaningful effect on the global world price? We've got Hugo Chavez messing around with nationalizing oil. You've got the situation between Iran and Israel. Everybody says it's impossible for one country tinkering to do anything about oil prices.
We need all of the above energy here. We need The coal and the president's regulations coming out of the EPA have been very hurtful for that with coal-fired power plants. And the president even said when he was running, he said under his policies, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. People have seen that as a result of this. And for all of these increased costs for American consumers, for people at home who are dealing with kids and a mortgage and bills, I mean, it absolutely affects the quality of their life. So when gasoline prices continue to go up, as they have, and it looks like they're going to go over $4 a gallon, if not $5 a gallon this summer, that's a significant impact in the quality of life of American families. We need a policy, and we don't have one with this administration.
Senator John Barrasso, good to see you, Senator.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. Your daughter's first day of work?
Son's first day of work.
Son's first day of work?
Yes.
That's good stuff.
Thank you.
You got a
Appreciate
job. That's good news.
Yeah.